Good evening. I'd like to call the City of Menasha Common Council meeting to order. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you have roll call, please?
Alderman Benner. Here. Alderman Nichols. Here. Alderman Kraut-Kramer. Here. Alderman Collier. Here. Alderman Keehan. Here. Alderman Zielinski. Here. Alderman Spencer and Taylor have been excused.
The first item on the agenda this evening is public comments on any matter of concern to the city. If you'd like to address the council, you could just step to the microphone and state your name and address.
Hello, everybody. My name is Bill Banty. I'm the owner of Lemon Loves Lime at 192 Main Street. I basically just wanted to speak upon some concerns that I have as a business owner and that other individual business owners I've spoken to have. This is trying to propose a meeting regarding the most recent parking changes that occurred and were passed that affects the east and west surface lots and Broad Street parking. Myself and the other business owners are trying to organize a meeting, which I have scheduled for next Tuesday. So I'm hoping that this can be put on the agenda for the next meeting. I'm trying to organize a meeting so that we can talk further about some better solutions, possible solutions for parking, since the current solution we don't feel provides adequate parking for the owners and employees of the businesses on Main Street and Racine Street. Because right now there's currently 29 spaces for all-day parking, and we don't feel that'll be adequate for all the employees, for all the businesses that are currently here and the newly opened businesses that going to be opening this month and soon down the road here. So that's all I wanted to bring up, that I'm trying to organize this meeting, and that the next meeting I'd like to come back with some of the business owners with some of the suggestions or ideas that could be for consideration to provide a better solution for parking. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Banty.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak this evening? Seeing no one else, we'll move on to the report of department head, staff, and consultants. We have Mayor Hanna here this evening, along with Karen Harkness, and they have a presentation about the Expo Center that's, I think, just broken ground in downtown Appleton.
Okay. I'm going to do this. So, first of all, thank you very much for setting aside a few minutes. And as promised, we were here about a year ago, and we went through that process where 10 municipalities all agreed on room tax changes and intergovernmental agreement for the construction of the Fox Cities Exhibition Center. So, real quickly, as a reminder, I just want to remind us all where we've been. This is a project that, as a community, when I use the word community, I mean the Fox Cities. We've talked about this project for probably the better part of 30 years. This project actually, I think, was talked about when the hotel was built initially. And it's been kind of on and off. This most recent round, back in 2006, 10 years ago, I formed an exhibition center exploratory committee of some community members to start to explore this idea in earnest again. Does this make sense for us? They came back, they reported out, yeah, it makes sense. There are different sites that need to be explored. And in 2008, we formed the Convention Center Community Coalition. And that coalition then took that work of that exploratory committee and dug a little bit deeper, analyzed sites, did some other work to say, you know, what makes sense. And that work was reported out in 2009. Also in 2008, the Convention and Visitors Bureau, along with the Chamber of Commerce, and the City of Appleton, we all combined some funds and we hired a consultant. CSL out of Minnesota was chosen. It was very deliberate to choose a consultant that would tell us the truth about our market. We didn't want to have a consultant come and tell us what they thought we wanted to hear. We wanted the truth. If this didn't make sense, we want to know that. They came back. They gave their report on that feasibility study in late 2008, and they said, yeah, it does make sense. It makes sense for the Fox Cities to do this. From there, the Fox Cities Exhibition Center Board was convened to try to then push this project forward. And it was a board made up of a number of community members from around the Fox Cities, looking for that way, that process forward. One of the things they did was they got a grant and hired an architect to do some conceptual drawings for what would this look like. They also did some work on what is the appropriate size for our market. What are we looking at? And that work has been valuable as we've moved forward. So that work went through started in 2011, 12, 13. 2014, as we were working our way through the recession, questions started coming up saying, does this still make sense? You know, we've had this recession. Does this still make sense? Is there still this economic impact? Went back to the consultant, asked them to update their feasibility study. They came back, and it was reported out, yes, it still makes sense. There still is a positive economic impact for the Fox Cities, and they came with some recommendations, and one of the recommendations was, really for this thing to be viable, it really needs to be led and owned by the city. This is the model that is common across the country, that these are municipally owned. And that's when the City of Appleton stepped in and said, okay, let's move this thing forward. We had negotiations in earnest with Outagamie County to acquire the site, the preferred site. One of the recommendations from the consultant was, needs to be within spitting distance of your convention hotel to really maximize the impact. So that site, just behind the Paper Valley on Lawrence Street, was chosen, and we negotiated with the county. And then last year, a lot of you were around when we went through this last year. Negotiated a management agreement with the new owners of the hotel, created an intergovernmental agreement with all the municipalities, reconstituted the room tax commission under the new statutes that were adopted by the legislature last year, and consummated the sale of the property with the county. You have to remember through all of this, and I'm not quite sure the date, but the hotel went through receivership. The recession did a number on the hotel, as it did on hotels all across the country. It lost value, real estate value. The hotel itself continued to be a viable operation, was making money. The real estate just wasn't worth what was owed on it, and it went through receivership. The new owners stepped in and bought the hotel last June. So, a lot that's gone on. So what have we done since last November and when we purchased the property, because all the municipalities agreed? We closed the transaction, looked at several models in terms of the process moving forward. We've constituted the the Exhibition Center Advisory Committee, which has representatives from all the municipalities to give us advice as we move forward through the process. In about April, we issued RFPs for construction manager and architects. And came back. We actually felt like we were in a no-lose situation after interviewing the construction managers and the architects. Ultimately, we chose Myron Construction as the construction manager, and we chose Zimmerman Architects, who are partnering with an architectural firm called Fentress out of Colorado as our architects. One of the reasons we chose that architectural firm The architect we're working with has designed over 14 million square feet of exhibition space all across the country. A long, long resume. And one of the things that impressed us about this architect was the time that he took to understand our community and the importance of this project, along with the fact that the buildings that he designs purposely to fit into the environment within which they exist. And he came and he talked to us about the history of the Fox Cities, the history of paper and electricity, and things that are important to us. But one of the other things he did was he looked at that site, and we've got some renderings over here. The rendering that was done back in 2011 was pretty typical exhibition space rendering. It was a box. You can make boxes look pretty nice, but an exhibition hall is going to be an exhibition hall. We've got a building that is like 65,000 square feet, exhibition space of 30,000 square feet. It's going to be a box. And it's going to have ingress and egress and things like that. Well, his idea was you are on the edge of this park. And the park sits down below the street. And why not take advantage of that? So we can build a box. There's a lot of different advantages here. And so he showed us a little bit different design. And I think as we show this to people, they're just like, that's really cool. So basically what it is, if you look at this rendering on the right here, the exhibition space, the Paper Valley is over here. This is Jones Park, which sits quite a ways below street level. He's got the exhibition space. Here's street level here. The exhibition space is actually 2 stories sunken down into the bluff that creates that park. So the exhibition space, the floor of the exhibition space, will be even with Jones Park. What that does, it'll still have a walkway coming over from the hotel into a lobby space, and then the lobby space will then lead down 2 stories into the exhibition space. The exhibition space will then spill out into a patio, which then spills out into the park. One of the things this does for us is all of a sudden, we've got this street level, kind of behind this lobby area, street level plaza up here. You can see the rendering with the people up here. It creates a public outdoor plaza of about a little over 17,000 square feet. So now you've got an exhibition space of 30,000 square feet of indoor space and an additional 17,000 square feet of outdoor space that can be used, if we're lucky, 8 months out of the year. People can have receptions, outdoor receptions. You can have public civic events there. You can have, they can have outdoor exhibits. They can have the plazas being designed to accept different sizes of tents for exhibits. So it's pretty exciting, and it's given us, the city of Appleton, the impetus to redo Jones Park, to really make it a special place and integrate with the exhibition center. So I've got about $1.5 million in next year's budget to redo Jones Park as the exhibition center is being built. So if you want to hit that video, there's a real quick video. It's kind of a fly-through of the design of the building. So here you're coming up from the Jones Park, up the grand staircase. That would be looking east. There's that public space, that outdoor space, the plaza space. You can see the lobby to the left there. Again, that's looking east. Here's kind of a southern view. Now you're looking west down Lawrence Street. You've got the walkway over the street into the exhibition center from the hotel. Here's that public plaza again. Here's the lobby area that would come in. Then you would go down escalators down into your pre-function space. So the exhibition space would be to your right here. And then to the left, with the glass and the doors, would open up into the patio area that would then open up into the park. And now you're looking kind of northwest from the park. You kind of see well, just a second here, we'll see it. Now you're down at the park level. That's looking west into the exhibition space. So you see that spire type element there. That's kind of a signature element, and the architect's idea is that that element will rise 82 feet above street level. He picked the number 82 on purpose because 1882 is the year that we first used hydroelectricity here in the Fox Cities. And it would light up at night, LED lights, with an opportunity to change those lights and really create that vertical element that would identify where the exhibition center is. So that's the design. We are moving forward. We're on a pretty fast track. The RFPs, request for proposals, had a substantially complete date of the end of September of 2017. And the architects and the construction manager have rolled up their sleeves and they say, we're going to get it done. So I like to say next fall is really the target for having this thing complete. One other thing I want to touch on, and that is there's been a lot of rumors floating around about the hotel itself and the need for the hotel to be upgraded. And I want to touch on that. The owner of the hotel, one of the owners of the hotel, was in town last week and tried to address some of these issues. Some of the rumors involve the fact that we heard that the hotel was going to lose its flag. It was no longer going to be a Radisson, and I want to address that. The hotel's not going to lose its flag. It may drop its flag on purpose. And this is the reason why. Radisson as a brand has lost 17% market share in the last 18 months. It's really declining in the overall hotel market. Radisson as a brand is due to be sold to a Chinese company. That sale is due to close this week, later this week, the 15th of October, next week. The owners of the Radisson Paper Valley also own 8 other Radisson hotels around the country. They are in serious discussions with Radisson to be carved out of this transaction. When they signed the 20-year franchise agreement for this hotel, they were told no less than 8 times that Radisson was not for sale, the brand. And the next thing that happened was it wasn't for sale, it was sold. They're worried about this declining in quality, the brand. And when you have a franchise agreement, you're subject to what's called brand equity, meaning you can't charge any more than other Radissons. Our management agreement with them says they have to maintain a 3-star quality rating. But if they can only charge 2-star prices, it puts them in a very difficult position. So they are, depending upon their discussions with Radisson, they may drop the flag, they may go independent. You have to remember, this hotel was an independent hotel for the first 18 years of its life. A lot of people still know it as the Paper Valley Hotel. The people who own this own over 200 hotels across the country. They do have some independent hotels. It's really a business decision that they need to make. The hotel itself is doing very well. It cash flows. They are very close to what's called functional capacity, So they're doing well. It needs some work. And that's the other thing that people are griping about is that hotel needs some work. When are they going to start? When are they going to start? When are they going to start? One of the things they were waiting, that they've been waiting for is the design of the new exhibition center, because it's their wish to match the upgrade to the hotel with what we're doing with the exhibition center. They want it to look like these buildings belong together. Now they have that, and they're ready to move forward. So they are going to upgrade the lobby. They're going to upgrade all of the sleeping rooms. By the time they left last week, we had a commitment from them to address the escalator issue, which is stuck under some people's cross locally, the escalator that goes from the hotel to the parking structure. It's obsolete. It's out of date. You can't get parts. It's probably $1 million project to get that fixed. They understand how important that is to us. They also made a commitment that we will see substantial work started by sometime in January of 2017. And I guarantee they'll be done with their improvements by the time this exhibition center opens. So we're really excited, and we're here to say thank you again for your pledge and your commitment as part of the Fox Cities room tax, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Oh, yeah, we got one more video. I'm sorry. This is one of the owners of the hotel who was here last week, and this is what he had to say. Nope, got to turn it up a little bit. Okay.
Oh, that's not going to do us much good. You can't hear Steve. I can send these links out. I'll forward them to Don and Debbie, and they can send them out. So, sorry.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
I think we're stuck.
We'll send you these links, and hopefully Karen's got all of your email addresses, and you get our periodic updates as this project moves forward. I can't say enough about the team that we've chosen. Myron and Zimmerman and Fentress and our city team that works on this. They spend just about all day every Tuesday together working on this. The first bid package was out, it came back, it was opened, and that first bid package goes to our city council for approval on Wednesday. Even though we had the groundbreaking last Thursday, we'll see some real dirt starting to be moved after they approve that package, probably next week or the week after. The goal is to have the foundation work done before we have that first hard frost, so they can continue to work over the winter and get that thing closed in and stay on track for an opening next fall.
So does anyone have questions for Mayor Hanna? Alderman Benner?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor. You said they got the bid package opened. Is everything within budget, as you can see so far?
That's a hard question to answer because,
sorry.
no, Myron Construction is doing the best job they can of estimating the costs. The hardest bid package to estimate is that first one because it's excavation work. They feel really good where it came in. There was a pretty wide spread in the proposals that came back. I think the lowest one was $3.5 million. They have to, God, I don't know if I forget how many cubic yards of dirt they have to move out of there to create the hole. What we're actually going to do is, one of the biggest problems we had to overcome was, where do we take this dirt? And kind of internally we laugh about it because the dirt came from us. It came from our South Point Industrial Park, and it was put here. Now we got to move it again. There is a combination of good soil and not so good soil. So we have to do soil testing to separate the good from the bad. The good soil we're actually going to use in the park to raise the level of the park. That's a convenient solution for some of that clean soil. As a further commitment from the city of Appleton, we said we would commit to dealing with the soil because it was kind of an unexpected, with this design, kind of an unexpected thing that we had to do with. So we're going to take on the liability to deal with the soil. Part of it we'll use in the park. Part of it, we have a place that we can take it that meets the DNR's regulations for dealing with that potentially contaminated soil.
We expect to have between 15 and 17 bid packages that will go out, because the more competitive we can be with this, the lower the price will be. So this was the first bid package solely for the excavation. Came in maybe just a little bit over what we'd anticipated, but we also haven't valued engineered it yet.
I can tell you, they remain confident that we will come in under budget. We've got just under $2 million in contingency. This concept costs a little more. We had to go back and get approval to go a little bit higher. We probably didn't really have to do that. We probably could have skated on the edge. I felt more comfortable just being open with everybody and saying, hey, this is going to give us the comfort level. On the financing side, we're continuing to work on the financing. If you remember, last year we had some financial modeling that talked about different terms and what different room tax rates would mean in terms of leveraging how much capital. And the reason we had the different models was because we were asking people to make a decision. Do you want to set the room tax so that we get X amount of money? Or do you want a variable room tax to leverage the money that we need, or do you want to set the room tax and be comfortable with varying the term? Everyone was comfortable saying, let's set the tax so it's all equal. We're comfortable with varying the term being varied. We're now in discussions with a number of financials who are interested in funding this project. And I put it that way because the fallback position would be to sell revenue bonds based on room tax. Probably our best option is a private placement bond, meaning that you've got one financial institution or a combination of financial institutions willing to buy the bonds. So you negotiate the best terms possible and you sell them to it in a private transaction. That's probably our best option, and that's the path we're going down now.
Okay. Thank you.
Doesn't look like anyone else. Thank you for coming this evening, Mayor Hanna.
All right, and remember, once it's open, every municipality that opted in gets a free day at the exhibition center to use the way that you wish. So think about that, and think about coming and celebrating with us. You're going to hear a number of things through this process, and one of the things that we've talked about are ways to make sure all the municipalities are recognized in the building. So there are ways that we're thinking about that, and recognized through the process. One of the things is a beam signing. So at some point, there will probably be a beam in the city of Menasha that you can figure out how you want it to work. You can have people come from the city and sign it. That will be placed visibly somewhere in the facility. And we're going to do that with all 10 municipalities. And there will also be some permanent recognition in that public plaza, probably in the pavers of all the municipalities that have banded together. Okay? All right.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
We also have Adam Alex here this evening. He's the Deputy Director of Municipal Operations. We're looking to do a test run on a different way of picking up leaves this fall on the island, and Adam is here to tell us a little bit about what he's planning on doing, and then if there's questions from any of the aldermen or from the public, we would be happy to answer those as well.
Just to follow up on what we brought to the council back in August is what we're looking at trying to do is look at getting away from using our vacuum machines in order to collect our leaves. And for those of you who didn't get one of these, this is what we sent out recently to inform the public, the affected residents. And what we chose to do is concentrate over on the island. There's a physical barrier there. It happens to be one of our recycle routes. As far as the impact to the residents, there's two primary things that they'll notice. One is where to place the leaves. We're asking them to place it on the edge of the street, keep it off the terrace. That'll enable us to come through and just hopefully push the leaves in the piles and scoop them up. And then the other thing is we're hoping to be able to, stay to a schedule. In other words, provide a schedule as to when the collection is, because currently we get the phone calls and we more or less say, put the leaves out, we'll eventually get there. Well, we're going to try and keep a schedule. That's the plan, that's the hope. So from the residents' point of view, that's really the only thing that they need to be concerned with. Anup Street is a high traffic, high volume street. We intend to have the leaf machine over there, which is the vacuum machine. So we did put something in here in regards to the residents on Anup to leave it on the terrace. You guys may see the leaf machines over there in other areas depending upon how this goes for us. We're sort of modeling this after Appleton, Sheboygan Falls, I forget the suburb down Milwaukee, that use this unique claw bucket on the loader. So don't, rest assured if you happen to see the leaf machine over there, we haven't abandoned the idea. This is all about sort of testing, sort of seeing how this goes, hoping that we can save time and in turn money in providing the service. I think that's pretty much it. You guys got any questions? Cost-wise, okay, the other reason is obviously cost. I know Becky had called and talked with me. Again, we're sort of modeling this after Appleton. Our costs sort of varied. We did a pretty extensive tracking of our costs last year. We did most of it with our vacuum machines. It's a high maintenance item, specific use. It only gets used for like 4, 5, 6 weeks out of the year. We supplemented that with just a regular loader. And we ended up raking the leaves off the terrace, which wasn't as efficient. Our costs ranged from anywhere between about $13 a cubic yard all the way up to like $29 a cubic yard. Appleton's average cost is like $8.92 a cubic yard last year. So obviously there's a big difference there. If we average ours out to about say 17, it's still twice as much as what it costs Appleton. Now granted, we're not sure exactly if we're comparing apples with apples. I'm sure that they maybe don't have costs in there that we do, but I think there's enough of a gap that warrants us doing this. And the other thing that sort of precipitated this is we had three vacuum machines. We blew one up. One of the engines failed. We had an engine failure. Cost to without labor, our own labor, we're looking at $20,000, $25,000 just to repair it or rebuild it. Originally, when a couple years ago, when we started talking about our capital improvement plan and laying out future purchases, if we bought a leaf machine, we talked about getting another trailer unit. That way it doesn't tie up one of our dump trucks. If we get any early snowfall, sometimes we might get sort of handcuffed there a little bit equipment-wise. Well, a trailer unit like the one that we have, which is like 25 cubic yards, it's like 60 grand. So we've taken the investment that we need to make versus using equipment that we already have other than the attachment for the bucket. The fact that our costs, the way we've been doing it compared to what Appleton's costs are, we decided that maybe now it's time to to try this, pilot program and see if there is some actual savings there for us. So, again, we're starting over on the island. Leaf collection starts on October 17th. I think we identified 6 weeks, and then we'll put something in addition to this into the newsletter that we may run in an additional week, weather dependent. So it's our goal, if everything goes the way we plan it, is that on Monday the 17th, we'd be over on the island. I don't think the fact that there's garbage and potentially recycle collection should interfere. That stuff's on the terrace. We'll be in the street. We have radio communication. We can certainly work around the garbage trucks that are in the area. I'm hoping that we get in there on the 17th, the 28th, and whatever the third one is, and we'll be able to pick up all of Doty Island on that day with the loaders. So we'll see if that works.
Alderman Benner?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple questions. If this works out well for us, what's our mindset for next year?
Well, we're replacing a grader with another end loader, so we'll have 3 newer end loaders, and we can purchase another attachment, another bucket, claw bucket, if we want to. We also have some money in our capital improvement plan for equipment purchases to replace, upgrade. We got a couple of options for a rear load refuse truck. In August, when I first came to you, Appleton's costs are probably lower because they use a rear load packer garbage truck to compact the leaves. So obviously under travel time, they're hauling a lot more leaves than what we'll be doing this year. This year, we're just going to use just regular dump trucks to sort of worry about the collection process, not necessarily the transporting. Once we know what we're handling or the amount of time that's involved in getting the leaves onto the trucks, I think we'll be able to come up with a real good estimate as to what our cost could be if we were to compact that. Again, like I said, we have some money in the budget to sort of upgrade or replace. Probably won't be new equipment. We're just sort of strapped. But to replace our rear load garbage truck as it is, Appleton has fabricated like a sort of like a chute in order to dump it into the back of the garbage truck. Trust me, if we want to fabricate something, we have the staff that's, can certainly do that for us. So if all goes well, I think what we would do is we would probably budget for another claw bucket. Perhaps, and there'll still always be some need for the vacuum machines. There's going to be areas where it's going to make more sense to use them. And then sort of between the two technologies, or the two methods, that's what we use to collect leaves.
So without getting too far ahead, is that what we anticipated for the budget for this year, as what's going to be in
Correct.
the budget this year for next year?
Correct.
Okay, and what about creating a pickup schedule? I know I've been asking this
Well, that's what I'm
for 8
saying.
years, but is that
You're not
something-
alone.
Is that where we're going? No,
Yeah,
is
that's
to do
my
something next
intention.
year.
If we can, absolutely. That is
okay.
the goal. Because like I said, we're not very helpful when they call and we just tell them, get it out there. We'll get to
Right.
it eventually. The other thing too with this, I know a lot of, you'll get the complaints about raking them to the leaves in the wind and it blows them all down. With the loader, I mean, if you guys use biodegradable bags, you don't have to dump them out there. They can be in the bags. We can scoop them right up. That's not an issue. So that's a little bit of a plus there, an advantage. So, so hopefully it'll go well, and hopefully we can get to a point where we have a schedule that we can keep.
Okay, good.
So-
Sounds encouraging. Thank you.
Yes.
Alderman Nichols?
Thank you. Thank you for being here tonight. I know the mailer arrived in the mailboxes. Yep, and I did get a few calls over the weekend and emails, so I wanted to invite you here to ask you a few questions just to provide some clarification, and people can get their information from a variety of sources. So you mentioned that the main reason we're doing this is to compare costs and see if we can get it done quicker and cheaper.
Yes.
So I just want to review with you a few things that are in here so everybody
Sure.
has clear answers about that. This is for all of Doty Island?
Correct.
Okay. And where should people be putting their leaves?
On the edge of the road, off of the terrace, in the gutter line, or just on the edge of the road. I'll just say that.
Okay.
Obviously, when we have significant rain events, we tend to go out anyways and check certain catch basins. we have a rain event and we know that there's a fair amount of leaves out there, we'll certainly, obviously, dedicate some time to run over there and
And
just
that's-
make sure.
Yeah, that's a little bit different than in years past, so we want to be clear that folks on Doty Island should be putting their leaves into
The edge of the road.
the edge of the street. And the dates, you mentioned in the flyer, we have the beginning on October 17th and going every other
Correct.
week. So I have October 17th, October 31st, and November 14th.
That sounds right.
With an optional or a possible
Correct.
pickup on the 28th. And you said you anticipate being there on that day, but should folks plan to be a little flexible depending on other things that might come up?
Yeah, if you see, we didn't say Monday or Tuesday, it's the week. I'm hoping that, we'll be able to pick it up on a day, or we may find that Tuesdays work better the day after. Maybe we'll find that we'll have some issues. Or we may find that that's sort of an established, there's a lot of older trees, probably a lot more leaves than there is out east, that maybe it might take us just a little bit longer than a day. So we didn't select dates or a day in particular. We're saying week. Give us a little bit of flexibility to sort of see how this goes.
Okay, but if people, if we get a nice day or people have a few extra hours where they can do some yard work and they put their leaves out into the street before that Sunday, are we planning to be flexible with those sorts of things? Because these are some of the concerns I've
Correct,
heard.
if need be. But there again, I go back to what we've done in the past. I mean, that's happened in the past, and those leaves will sit there. They'll just sit there, and I can't tell them, guess what? We'll be there on this day or this week. It'll be like, here's where we are, and just get them out there, we'll get them. That's what generally is what they're told. Early on in the season, like October 17th, I think last year, the first week of leaf collection, I mean, there weren't many leaves down. We had one leaf machine, vacuum machine, zip through the city, no problem. We'll certainly have people dedicated, during this period of time picking leaves, sucking up leaves, and if, early in the season, sure enough, I mean, we've covered the city, chances are we will go back. The other thing, seeing we're talking about this, is it's not our intent to refuse to pick up any leaves that aren't in the gutter or in the road or in the street. This is sort of we're trying to see if this is going to work first of all. And then B, if it does, this is sort of step one in the education process. Hopefully we get this side of the city kind of taken care of. Rest assured that we aren't going to leave anyone's leaves if they don't quite, follow our rules this year. This again is intended to give us an idea whether or not this is going to work the way we think it's going to work. So,
And then you mentioned bagging.
Yes.
And that's different than in years past. So could
Correct.
you let people know what items can be bagged and where the bags would be placed?
okay, again, I made mention earlier, biodegradable bags. Usually in the spring of the year, we guys can bag it when we do our spring cleanup, and then in the fall, it's got to be loose. Trust me, dealing with the residents a lot of times as well, which is it? Can I bag it? Can I not bag it? If we use biodegradable bags, the fact that if we're over there with the loaders using the bucket, we won't be over there with the vacuum machines. Those bags will be able to be scooped up in the bags themselves. We'd ask that the bags, just like the leaves, be placed on the edge of the road so that we can come down with the loader and the bucket and just scoop them up. What we're looking at when we say leaves, it can be also garden and yard waste, but it would have to be material, what did we say in there, 8 to 10 inches or something like that. We don't want brush mixed in it. We do have a separate brush collection, and what we've been doing this year is we're trying to keep all brushing material separate because we can get paid for that material. It's not much, but we don't have to haul it, and we're getting some money in return for it. So we want to keep the brush separate from any of the compostable yard waste, which would be leaves, your garden, and flowers, or any of your yard waste like that.
Okay, and some people like to use those reusable containers for their yard waste. And is that allowed during this process?
Not in the fall. Again, that would remain the same as it has been in previous falls. Dump them out. Is it possible, like I said, maybe we'll end up dumping them out, but it's not intended to, our intentions are not to collect anything like that. But
And then, last question. The equipment used, I'm assuming that it's going to take more than one piece of equipment. So what time of day can people anticipate that equipment being in the neighborhood? And the reason I ask is because your intention is to show up on October 17th, and that's also a garbage day and a recycling day. So I'm trying to envision the logistics of that.
again, for garbage and recycling, the carts are on the terrace. If we get the leaves in the street like we want them to, what it'll be is there'll be a loader over there with this bucket. We'll push them into a pile, scoop them up, and we'll dump it into a dump truck. It'll be on one of the intersecting streets, generally out of the way. Obviously, at some point, depending upon how clean it is, but we run into this with the vacuum machines as well, is we generally try and sweep the streets afterwards, depending upon manpower availability. But ideally, that's what we're looking at, maybe 2 trucks and a loader, and one of the trucks should be dumping as we're loading another truck. And if everything's in the road, we should be able to just go along, scoop it up, and away we go. And then everything should take place in the street.
Okay. Thank you very much for being here this evening. Oh, and one more thing. The facility's always open for
Correct.
people to drop off?
Drop site is up, yes.
Great.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, before we move on, I just want to remind everyone that we're talking about 2 separate leaf collection programs this year. This trial is just on Doty Island, so
correct.
from Nicolay Boulevard to the river, and
Yes.
and Abbey Street to the river on the other side, but just on the island.
Only
And-
those folks got these, okay? So everyone else will get their newsletter with everything spelled out as it has been in the past as far as their leaf collection.
And if you don't live on the island, it's the same as it always was in the past. I'm sure it'll cause a little confusion, but hopefully we can get through that as well.
Yep.
So thanks for coming
Sure.
this evening, Adam.
Sure.
And we'll move on to the minutes and the communications. Do we have a motion to accept? Alderman Benner?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I make a motion to receive and put on file minutes A through E, communications F through K.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. Item G is the consent agenda. There are just 3 items. One goes halfway through the next page. The minutes to approve from the Common Council meeting of September 19th, the Board of Public Works recommendations for the street use application for Hometown Halloween on October 27th, and for payment number 3 to Northeast Asphalt for the new street construction and reconstruction program in the amount of $92,038.75. Does anyone wish to have any of the items separated this evening? Seeing no one, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Alderman Benner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At this time, I make a motion to approve consent agenda items 1, 2, and 3.
We have a motion and a second. Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Motion carried on roll call 6-0.
Item I is action items. The first item is the accounts payable and payroll for September 22nd through September 29th. Do we have a motion? Alderman Nichols?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll move to approve the accounts payable and payroll for the term of September 22nd, 2016 to September 29th, 2016 in the amount of $1,458,739.88.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Motion carried on roll call 6-0.
Item 2 is the beverage operators license applications for 2015 through 17. Do we have a motion? Alderman Nichols?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll move to approve the beverage operators license applications for the 2015 through 2017 license licensing period as listed in the police department's memo dated dated September 28th, 2016.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Alderman Nichols? Seeing none, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Motion carried on roll call, 6-0.
Item 3 is to establish a permit fee for removal of salvageable non-structural materials from vacated buildings, Title 8, Chapter 5 of the Code of Ordinances. Do we have a motion? Alderman Nichols?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll move that we approve establishing the permit fee for removal of salvageable, non-structural materials from vacated buildings to be $550 for the first 10,000 square feet of the building floor area, plus $50 per 1,000 square feet of building floor area thereafter.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing no one, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Motion carried on roll call, 6-0.
Item L is appointments. The first item is the appointment of Emily Steinman to the Landmarks Commission. Do we have a motion? Alderman Keehan?
Thank you. I'll move to approve the mayor's appointment of Emily Steinman to the Landmarks Commission for the term of 10/4/2016 to 3/1/2017.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Item N is public comments on any matter that was listed on the agenda. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak at this time? Seeing no one, do we have a motion to adjourn? Alderman Benner?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor? Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.